everyone, and welcome back to Amandana. I'm Amanda,
And I'm Mandana.
and today we have a very special guest, Kendra, who you may all have seen on YouTube's Instagrams or TikToks, HFTV, formerly known as Habs Fan TV, as a guest being interviewed after a Montreal Canadiens hockey game.
Hi, Kendra. Some of us got to appreciate you through your multiple interviews on HFTV, and we're just wondering, how did you come to meet the host? Was it after a hockey game? How did that all go down?
Okay, so I met the hosts, Seth and Alex, after the Prospects match in September. For those of you who don't know, the Prospects match is essentially it's a hockey game between all of the hockey prospects, so the AHL players or the players that are just about to come into the league that aren't signed with the NCAA. And the tickets are super cheap. You can sit in the Bell Center for like $15, and all the money goes to charity. And yeah, they were doing interviews after the game, so I just kind of shyly went up to Alex first and just did my interview, and I was, so awkward because I was just like, listen, I'm such a big fan, and I literally even brought a sign, I think that said, I love HFTV. I posted it onto Twitter tagging them, and they even reposted it. They were like, such a great fan, and I walked away with the mini stick, and they were like, so glad to have you. Welcome back anytime. And again, for those of you who also don't know, it's pretty obvious, but when you never really see Seth and Alex together unless it's the end of the night when they're done filming. So Alex is usually filming with one camera person, Seth's with another. So I always try to go to both if possible. So I kind of talked to Seth a little bit, but I mostly talked to Alex first, and then I just kept coming. I just kept traveling from Sherbrooke to Montreal every weekend, and I kept coming back to more games, and here we are. So,
Wow, that's very interesting. And just out of curiosity, what year was this in?
this was actually September 2024, because I didn't become a Habs fan until pretty much the tail end of the season, like the 2023 to 2024 season. I didn't start watching until February, when it was pretty much we're done, we're a bottom 5 team, everything else. It was kind of crazy how I got into hockey, because my mother played. It was I live in the greater Toronto area, in a small town. It's around, as a Canadian, it's around you everywhere. It's but I think just kind of what happened is that I wasn't really, I don't know, I was really, honestly, I was really depressed at the time. And typically how I kind of actually dealt with my depression previously was going out and trying to put on a happy face and socialize. And I just felt like I couldn't do that anymore. And then for whatever reason, and for the record, I shocked everyone because I hated sports. So the fact that hockey videos just somehow ended up on my For You page and everything else, I think maybe because I'm in Sherbrooke, the algorithm knew the Montreal Canadiens, and I saw all you just see is a bunch of people screaming outside, and you're like, well, this is just so fun to watch, whether you're interested in the team or not. And then it was kind of HFTV that got me into hockey. And then my mom she's a Leafs fan. So she brought me to watch the Leafs and Habs game in March during my spring break, and then I've been hooked ever since.
Wow, okay, very interesting. I agree, the ambiance is something, and you've definitely become kind of a fan favorite after your multiple appearances on the channel. And what do you think makes people gravitate towards your energy?
It's so weird to gas myself up like this, because it's just no, but it's so weird because you're kind of waiting, you're kind of excited to do it, and then you go on and it's just you and this camera, and you're just saying a bunch of stuff, and again, they don't give you any warning what's gonna get posted or what's not gonna get posted, or it's their platform. But what do I think makes people gravitate towards my energy? I think it's just the fact that I have energy, that I have passion. I've looked at back at some of the videos. I'm like, okay, that wasn't exactly what I wanted to say, but I think it's just like to see someone so pumped up about something. Like, I think generally as human beings, we just love to see people really interested in something and to be really passionate about something. I think, just a naturally funny person. Like, I've always kind of had, like, the gift of the gab, or I've always been good with, like, puns or, like, poetry and stuff at school. And I think another thing also is just the fact that, that I am a woman. Like, a lot of, like, if you look in the comments, like, a lot of the connection has been with other female hockey fans, whether they like, the Habs or not. So I think it's also just kind of that relatability, being like, oh, like, someone's as like, that's kind of like me, like, being like, oh, like, someone's so pumped up about the same thing that I like it's so nice to see, because well, because typically, like, obviously they can't control their fan base. Whoever wants an interview, but like, it is true in the sense that, like, you will go outside and you're like, oh, it's the 8 drunk guys kind of yapping. Like, so, like, yeah, you do really kind of have to, like, stick around if you're a fan and to try and get in there. But yeah, I don't know, I think maybe it's that certain je ne sais quoi, but I think it's just the fact that, like, I just have something to say, and I just want to use my voice. So yeah.
And so, would you ever consider joining HFTV as an interviewer for Cedric and Alex if they ever asked you? As for Alex and Cedric, if you happen to be listening, you should definitely consider hiring our girl Kendra. She would definitely kill it and bring lots of fans.
Well, thank you guys. That's so sweet. I mean, would I ever consider, like, if they ever seriously came up to me with an opportunity to, like, I don't know, if one of them didn't want to, because I'm in Ontario now. I've graduated from CHIPS. Yeah, so I'm not Montreal based, so that definitely makes things a lot harder. But I mean, I don't know, if they ever wanted me to, like, help out in, like, like a Toronto game or, like, Ottawa or something, like, that would be cool. But I think maybe again, like, Alex founded it first in, like, 2021, and if you go back to those very first videos, that is just him by himself little did he know at the time the team would, like, little did anyone know at the time the team was going to be so bad after that cup run. But it kind of made sense. You couldn't keep those, like, it's true, like, he started in COVID during the worst possible season. Alex did it all by himself. I think he had someone filming. I don't even think he was, like, interviewing people at the time. He was just kind of giving his thoughts. And then, I think, like, 6 months, a year went by, and then, like, he has said with him, of all people, who was, like, 16 at the time, like, he just found this kid who, like, wanted to be a part of it, really liked hockey. His mom didn't care about him staying up late, so... Well, no, but, like, the thing is, though, is that obviously they do have, like, some sponsored content and stuff, but, like, it is... I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it's not all, like, about the money, and it's very much a homegrown movement, like, they, and a lot of the people that they have hired in terms of, like, their camera people and stuff is, like, they're all so close to home and, like, already in their circle. And, and, like, they don't really pay themselves unless it's, like, I think sponsored content or something else. And, like, they do go out of their way to pay their camera people. But yeah, they've definitely told me that they appreciate, like, having me on, and, they've always listened to me and respected my wishes, like, in terms of, I try not to, like, swear or say anything, like, too crazy, just because of, like, future employment and whatever else. And unfortunately, being a female online, it feels like maybe I might be remembered for a video that I don't want to be remembered for, maybe more than others. But no, they've always been super respectful and kind, and they're happy to have me there. But, like, I just want to be realistic with people in the sense of, like, I love seeing, like, the please hire her stuff, but, like, they don't really go about a hiring process. Like, it really is just, like, a homegrown thing for the community. But I'm not gonna sit here and say, like, if they didn't have an opportunity for me, I would say no. Like, I would be very flattered and interested in that. But I'm trying more so now, like, I'm not good at filming or editing or anything. Like, I'm very much a boomer when it comes to technology, but I'm trying more so now, just even, like, being like, okay, like I don't have to sit at home and wait for like months for like my next interview. If I want to like say something or have a silly song, like I can like, you know, put it on my Instagram story, I can put it on my TikTok, and it's great because now I do have like that small community of people who have followed me from HFTV. So it's great. So it's just nice to know, like because of them, now on my own like social media, I have someone I can always feel I'm always comfortable now to like share my passions about like hockey, and I don't have to like be fully like attached to them. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I think what you mentioned is very smart because I know Cedric travels once in a while to go record interviews in other cities, but to have you in Toronto or next to the Senators would definitely be a cool vibe for the channel. And I'm also shocked that he met him when he was 16. Like, how did that happen?
Their whole story is so crazy. It like, as Alex is pretty much worded it was just like it was at a time where it was small and he needed extra help, and like I think said he kind of lied a little bit. Like he was like, oh, I'm so good with cameras and whatever else, but like but like they're both so knowledgeable about hockey. Like I think Sed could have even played at like a prep school, but he didn't because like it costs so much money. Like it costs so much money to get up in the higher levels. But yeah, like he just kind of took on Alex just took a chance on him because he was like, okay, if he really wants to dedicate himself and show up, then yeah, that's perfect. And then if you do look at some earlier videos, there were other like I think friends of Alex's and stuff that did help out to interview as well. But I think another thing is like, as much as people are like, you know, get her on TSN, get her on HFTV, I want to see her do stuff like full time. I will have to say, it's like, as much as I am passionate about the sport, as I've mentioned, I have not been watching it that long. Like, you know, and like, I think also for me, because I started watching hockey as kind of like a coping mechanism, like during like a major depressive episode, it was just kind of like, I've always associated with like, oh, okay, I'm calm. Like I'm just like, hearing the noises of other people talk and like skating and whatever else. Like when I watch the game, I'm not really good like a commentator or announcer where you're watching every single movement. For me, it's more so just like my show's on or I'm calm. Like I'm still very much like that 5-year-old kid that's like, yay, we have the puck. No, we don't have the puck. Yay, we have the puck. So I'm definitely not like disregarding something in like sports and stuff in the future, but like I don't want to come on here and brag and be like, yeah, like, you know, I should be on Bar Down or whatever else, because I'm like, I'm not that good with like stats announcing. I don't have the same. And again, I'm so Habs focused that like while I keep up with other news and stuff around the league, I couldn't tell you right now, like we're facing the Washington Capitals being like, yeah, lines 1 through 4, this is what's going on, this is what we're going to be facing and up against. I'm just like, you know, I've described myself as like the CEO of Lululemon previously. I'm just like, it's all about the Habs. Like, Capitals watch, we're done. We're winning the cup. Ça sent la coupe. It's over.
And do people ever recognize you? Or even players?
Okay, so for players, I don't know, but I think what kind of Sed and Alex revealed is like when they were working for TVA Sport during the Four Nations, like they had like they got an interview like Laine because he was representing Team Finland or whatever, and he was like, oh, like here's our song Laine's a Hab, and he was like, oh yeah, like, you know, like he nodded, he was like, yeah, I know about the song, like, you know, Arbor sang it, like Arbor Jackeye sang it around the locker room and whatever else. Those are like the really big videos. I obviously know like the players know about HFTV in the videos, even because like you can't avoid it. Like even if they don't follow the page, it doesn't mean that they don't see it. Especially with like their friends, you know, their girlfriends, their wives, and whatever. And I think also, I think Chantal Maccabee actually does follow the page. So I think like I think the higher ups do watch it as well. They don't take it super seriously, but they might be like, okay, so this is what fans like, our perception from fans maybe are, you know, which is smart. Like, constantly in the know. In terms of me being recognized by them, I don't know. I've been at the Glass for warm-ups and stuff so many times. Like, and I was at the Toronto game on last Saturday in my HFTV jersey, and like I don't know. I got a couple like pucks like kind of swung at the glass, and I was like, maybe that was for me, maybe it wasn't. I do remember though, when I met, I I saw Arbor and Slav back in October, and for whatever reason, instead of being like, oh, like, I've met Arbor before, but, like, I haven't met Slav, instead of being like, oh, like, Slav, I love you, like, you know, you're such a great player, da-da-da, I was like, oh, have you seen my video of me singing the Slovak national anthem on HFTV? Like, as if this man doesn't have a full-time job, like, doesn't sit on, like, his phone all day, like, I'm just like, I was just so embarrassed. I was like, this is what I'm saying. And he's like, oh no. And I was like, well, you should. Like, I don't know. And like, Arbor and stuff was smiling. I was like, oh, I got over 200,000 views. Like he cares. Like, he's taking the time out of your day to sign your jersey and take a picture. Like, but, yeah, it was just nervous though, because I think Arbor was driving Slav. So it's like, you have two players at once. Like, and it was like, yeah, I don't know. That's another thing that I don't know if I could be in the hockey world. Is like I do get starstruck. Like it's kind of hard not to. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Slav remembers me from that, or like again, if you're a public account and you have any like Habs related content, you can tag your favorite player, and chances are like you'll see them see it. Whether they watch the whole thing, I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to go back to Brassard again, like, you know, now or maybe next year and see if anyone recognizes me. I know definitely the staff definitely recognize me in terms of like security and stuff. In terms of people, I think it seems like mostly with like men or just the general public. Like if I'm wearing like my HFTV jersey in like an arena, whether it's like more so to like when I was in like Toronto and stuff, because obviously it's not, you know, you're cheering for Montreal essentially, but you're not in Montreal. You'll get like, oh, nice jersey, but I don't think they put like the face to it as well. But like there was one girl in Montreal, I think she saw like the Kendra 444 in the back, and she stopped me for a picture even. Or I have been like, you know, I think stopped maybe like a couple times, or like a hi Kendra or something, like when I'm in the Bell Center, which is really cool. My biggest experience though was I was in the Bell Center. I was with my sister. I was waiting to see UP, and there's this girl in front of us, and I don't think she must have been older than 11 or 12 years old, and she's with her dad, and the dad just goes, oh, my daughter would like to take a picture with you. And I was so like, aw, and like, I was just like, oh, thank you. And I like smiled, and I didn't even know what to say. Like I didn't want to be like, oh, like if you're a fan, or like make a joke about like HFTV. I was just like that. Like I'm getting recognized by like a little girl. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just so crazy. Or even the fact of like, I think the bigger thing is just like when a new video comes out, and and someone kind of just comments my name, like the amount of like new people kind of like every time being like, oh, I've seen your videos and I didn't know how to find you or whatever. Or they're like I have a friend now, and she's from like Tasmania, like outside of like Australia. Or like there's like there was these two girls, and like they're from Scotland, and they support their local like Scottish team or whatever, but they're like, okay, now I'm gonna cheer for Habs during the playoffs because, you know, my regular season's kind of done for. And it's just so crazy. Like, I don't know, the internet's just such a crazy place. Like the fact that even like maybe like one person's want to come up to talk to me is insane. Like, yeah, the fact that I'm even doing this podcast is like crazy.
And so I know you've mentioned at some point on your Instagram story, I believe, that going to hockey games alone is something that you do as you don't want to miss out. How do those normally go? I know a lot of people tend to not go when they're alone, but I still think it's important to enjoy things alone, whether or not you have someone to do those with.
exactly right. Like that was my sentiment, just kind of going to so many games alone because like I said, I went to my first game with my family in March, but I didn't stop to like go see HFTV after just because my mom, like, we had other stuff planned as a family. I wasn't gonna make them wait outside to do an interview or anything else. And then even though I was a major fan and I was living in Sherbrooke at the time, I had never actually done like the bus trip to Montreal. So I think, like, again, once kind of like, you know, my obsession and love grew like over the summer, and like I just saw like, okay, the prospect match is Saturday, Sunday in September. You know, like I've got to go. Like I've got to start living for myself. And then the next thing you know, it's like every 2 weeks I'm in Montreal. Like I'm taking the bus and I'm going. Yeah, I think the big thing is that it was like, you know, I kind of knew my budget and my finances and whatever else, and I just didn't see the point in like purposely dragging someone else around and like making them wait an hour and a half for warm-ups to begin, or, you know, making them wait around Brossard. It was just like, this is my life, and I'm like, and I knew I was going to be done school in December, so I was like, I might as well enjoy being as close as to Montreal for as long as I possibly can while I can. But yeah, like that's always just been me. Like if I want to go to a restaurant, I'll eat by myself. Like it doesn't bother me. I will admit though that like it is so great to have someone to share it with, but I think that's what's so great about HFTV is like you'll randomly start conversations with people while you're waiting for an interview, or especially at Brossard, you'll instantly make like, I still talk with some people that I met at Brossard, like waiting to, you know, for players to like maybe stop and like sign your stuff. And people are so friendly and want to know where you're from and, you know, want to read your sign or whatever else. Like we truly have like such a great fan base. Yeah, I just wanted to live life for me and I didn't want to drag anyone else down, because it's like, if it's my interest, I didn't see the point in like, oh, well, I can't be interested in it or pursue it if no one else wants to. But I will admit though that like after maybe sometimes it does get lonely. So it's like, if you want to go, to my advice for any women specifically who want to go alone for a hockey game, waiting for warm-ups by yourself and stuff is not that bad. Go and do it. Go and buy the ticket, whatever else. If you do maybe want to feel like a little bit more involved, I would maybe even like have the radio broadcast play while you're watching the game. Because I think for someone like me who was like still kind of learning the game at this time and stuff as well, I think I realized too late, I was like, oh, that probably would have helped a lot, or make me feel like, you know, a little less like, you know, self-conscious. Because like, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it can feel a little bit isolating afterwards with like, you know, like the post-experience like depression. Like you've experienced such a high, whether, you know, your team's won or lost, and then it's like, okay, now I kind of have to like go on by myself. Because I think the only thing that was kind of hard for me after is like, especially whether it was a win or a loss, was like, if it was, you know, if it was like if it's like a Saturday night in Montreal, you want to like go out and have fun, but it's like, oh, well, I'm by myself and I'm a woman. Like I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be out here like too long and stuff after dark, or make a fool of myself. Like I better just head back to my friend's place or wherever I was staying. But like, and I will also admit, like, being able to experience the game with someone else is insane. But like, the best thing about being a single ticket is sometimes you have that opportunity to sit at the glass for like $200 by yourself. Just take it. Like just treat yourself. Like if or it's like, okay, if you want to spend like, you know, $60 and you're in the nosebleeds and you're up there by yourself, still a great view of the ice. Like there's not a bad seat in the house. Like
I see. And I was wondering, Mandana, you can answer too if you have one. Who's your current favorite player? And what is playoff hockey going to bring to Montreal this year? Because it's been 4 years.
Yeah. Favorite player. Okay, I think the player that really got me invested was Arbor-Jack guy, just in the sense like, I really got invested in the sport, I think for the story reasons, and then like the sport itself kind of came later, being like, oh wow, this is interesting, like men with sticks and fighting, and they're dancing on knives stuck to their feet basically. I really, because again, like I was kind of like depressed and like this was kind of my hyperfixation, whatever. So I was starting to watch like a lot of podcasts that featured the players or any of like their content and whatever else. And what like really struck me with Arbor was just the fact that like, you realize, like even with sports, I was so out of the touch with the sport world that I didn't even think about like the draft. That like the worst team would like get the best pick or whatever else. So I'm like, oh, to like go undrafted in the league is insane. Or like, to try and pursue your passion like during COVID, that's really hard. Or just even the fact that you realize later, like a lot of hockey players don't even really like have jobs and stuff in the off season. So when you hear about someone who's like, no, like I had like a working class family and I had to work in Costco to like kind of to support myself, and I just had to keep believing that I was going to go into the NHL despite not even being drafted by any OHL team, and then getting picked up for my junior years, and then eventually aging out and not knowing what I was going to do. I think just his humility and his work ethic and just being like, wow, like just kind of like a normal guy. Because again, like being an unathletic girl growing up in like, rural Canada, like, you don't typically like the athletes or like the hockey boys. Like they kind of just have like that, stuck up air to them. So when you kind of realize like, oh, like these are real people just kind of chasing their dreams, and they don't have like that, like, oh, I'm better than you persona. But that being said, obviously, like I think as soon as I saw that prospect match, like in person, watching Lane Hudson skate, it was like a drug. Like I was hooked. Like I make the joke that like, I make the joke of like Arbor's like cocaine, like Lane is fentanyl. Like it's just so funny. Like he like even like his warm ups, like just especially as someone who doesn't fully understand the game, just to find a player where you just watch them skate and you don't even have to see their jersey, their numbers on the back, you just immediately know who it is. Like I was just like, oh, like I don't see other people doing what he does. So yeah, I think definitely Arbor and Lane are the top two. I do have the joke about like I have the jersey that says like Jack I second cousin, just because I think I'm obsessed with the whole family, just with his mom and dad being immigrants and stuff as well, and them not having come from anything, and like you just see his mom and stuff post like inspirational quotes and stuff on like Instagram all the time. It's like that. It just feels like that's my mom. Like it just feels like that's kind of like my family. And then yeah, Lane's more of like a religious figure to me. Like yeah, but I think what I also really like about him, and even after having met him, is like I don't like. In the hockey world, like you're so used to seeing kind of like that boring cardboard cutout personality, whereas with Lane, like you can tell like he is like super relatable and he can find stuff entertaining. Like he doesn't have that air about him. He's just really shy, or he just doesn't talk a lot. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to say shy as much. It's just very interesting when you meet him, where it's like you could say like some silly little like phrase or like have a little conversation with him, but like he's looking at you and he's like fully listening. Like he doesn't take. Even like reading like an article that like his mom was describing them, and like he lives with his mom in Montreal. Like,
no way.
Yeah, like he could have totally lived by himself, but his mom was like, no, I don't. Or I think he even said like, I don't want to live with one of the other players. And I think he just probably prefers his own space. I don't think he was like, I don't want a room with, Typically, I think it's more like a Jumbo Joe Thornton, like Patrick Marleau situation with like Will Smith and like Macklin Celebrini, where it's like sometimes a veteran player with like their own, wife and kids will like kind of take you in. Or I know with the Montreal Canadiens, they have like their own like condos and stuff.
Yeah.
For like years that are starting out, but typically they still do room together. But I think Lane was just like, no, I want to live by myself, and his mom was like, you're not living by yourself. I would trust it if it was like an environment he knew, like in Chicago, but like a different country, and also like with the language barrier and whatever else.
Yeah, because he's not from Montreal, so his mom moved to Montreal for him.
It's so funny though, because his mom works in digital marketing, so she works remotely, and she's just like she's like, obviously I don't see him a lot, but it's been nice to have him around, and she's just like she's like he's like he's so confident, like he's always believed in himself. But I think the biggest thing is like I'm just so proud of like how humble he is at the same time. Like it's just so sweet. It's this kid and his mom, because like any other time you hear about like a mom kind of coming along during like like living with a rookie in the NHL, it's usually like, oh, they like to party a lot and someone has to take care of them. Whereas like Lane was like, no, I want to do my own thing. It wasn't like, oh, I don't want to live with my mom.
Yeah.
He's just like, and he's even been like, it's nice having her around and stuff. So yeah.
So he's like an introvert.
He definitely is, but like I think he's a lot better with like people and stuff now. But I don't know. I remember, I think it was one of the first interviews he must have done. I'm sure he's been interviewed since like he's been in kind of like pro hockey, like on the U.S. national development team or whatever. But I think there was one interview where I would think it was like prospects, like history in the making. Like it's what they do with all the prospects during the training camp. Like someone from the Habs organization will interview them for 20 minutes, and like poor Lane, you're watching. His hands are on his legs and he's just kind of stroking back and forth. Like you're at least ask these questions. So yeah, I don't think he's ever said he's had any sort of social anxiety or anything else. But again, I think it's just the fact that it's like, okay, a kid who's super talented, always knew he was going to be something, got told like maybe he was too small or whatever else. But he obviously if there was a redraft, he'd be going so high in the first round if people knew what he was capable of now. But again, like I'm so gravitated towards like players that are just like obviously like I love like that funny, charming, like kind of like like Slav personality and stuff as well, or like with like Cole or whatever. But I just find I'm just extra gravitated towards those people where like they either didn't think they like be in that hockey, or like they wouldn't have like they don't have that stereotypical like hockey personality, so to speak. What does it mean to Montreal? Even as someone who doesn't live there, to just like eat, die, breathe, sleep by the Habs, or like, I don't know. I haven't been to like Toronto and stuff a bunch in my life, so I'm a little bit biased more towards Montreal anyways, considering I went to school so close there. But like, there's just a certain joie de vivre just naturally in the air already. Like it feels like just a really lively, fun city. And when you just throw hockey in the mix, like even just seeing like with HFTV, like they're just posting the crowds after the game where they finally clinched playoffs, like, or even just when you see videos and stuff from the 2021 run, it's like, what is this place going to look like when there's no COVID? Like everyone can be everywhere. I think it just adds. And again, people are struggling right now. Like we're in a recession, and I think sometimes the world's become so incredibly divided. To see that one thing bring people in a city together, and like not only that, the Victoire are going to be playing later this spring. The Laval Rocket are like at the top of their division. Like it's a good time to be in Montreal. I think it just means. I think it honestly just gives the people like hope. Like if you can look at a hockey team that was dead last in December, and come spring their playoffs, it's just last. No, but it I don't know, maybe like it's hard. I can't say hockey's necessarily made me a better person, or at least my bank account definitely doesn't say that. But I think it's just like you can like. It inspires you maybe to be like a better person yourself, or it just gives you kind of something like that little extra oomph. Like I've already seen TikToks about like people being like, oh, when it's 13 degrees out, the Habs are in the playoffs, and I'm buying my overpriced latte or whatever. But yeah, I think it also in a sense like people are also feeling like a little extra proud just to be like like Quebecois and stuff right now. But I think it just brings a certain energy like. It's hard to describe, but I don't know, like with sports sometimes it does seem silly, like the dramatics and some of the things that go on, but it just adds something. Like even during the prospect match in September, you go outside and it's a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and you just kind of feel pumped, even though we lost like both of those games by 1. You're just like, something's exciting going on, like it's just everywhere.
Wait, Amanda, who's your favorite player?
Who's my favorite player?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's you're gonna have to answer too. I think it's difficult to choose one, but I definitely will say that Lane Hudson impressed me too, because we went to the prospect match, Manzana and I remember he's defense, right? That's his like position.
Yeah.
And he was always like bringing the puck up, attacking, and I remember I told Mandana, I'm like, he's going to be insanely good, and he is, right? So I think right now at the moment, he's my favorite player. What about you, Mandana? And plus, we used to know someone that knew him. He like we knew someone that played hockey with him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mandana?
I actually agree with Kendra. My favorite is Arbor. And before that, it was Nick Suzuki, but now it's Arbor.
A reason?
I mean, I agree with Kendra. I like, his story, his background, his humility, but I also like his energy. When he wore that suit with the whatever was written on it.
Oh yeah.
That energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the crazy thing is like with Arbor, like if it's not Arbor or like it's always, you can look at like any video that's like filmed or whatever, it's always Arbor or Cole that is like being silly and bringing the energy. Like they're just such the glue guys of this team. But it's always so, like, again, I love this team so much, like top to bottom, that it's so hard being like so and so's my favorite player. Because I think another thing that I loved about the Habs is like, don't get me wrong, like, Nick Suzuki carries this team. The fact he's not been injured, like, knock on wood, like, kiss the sky, like, this, like, Nick Suzuki is like Tony Stark, because he's literally an Iron Man. He just keeps going. But, like, but basically, like, it's not just, like, Nick or Cole's team. Like, there's so many, like, endearing people to, like, look at. Whereas, like, when people think about, like, maybe more so the Oilers, they're like, oh, that's, like, Connor McDavid or, like, Leon Draisaitl's team. Like, I definitely do think, like, there is pieces that will be moved in the offseason, and that, I think this roster is going to be even more exciting, like, the year after the next year, but it's just, like, there's just so many young, exciting players on this team that, like, you just love. Like Monty is so sweet and so great. Actually, if you go to Brassard, Montembeau always stops.
Oh.
He'll always stop for a fan. Like, whether he's feeling good or not, like, yeah, that's, I don't know if I feel like that, I'm sorry, Monty, if you get an influx of fans after this, but, yeah, but, no, like, he's great, like, again, like, and even just some of the people we have, yeah, like we've said, like, we die for our brothers on the blue line, like, our defense, like, some of the people we have there is, like, fun to watch. Even Gallagher this season, like, all the Gallagher fans are rejoicing right now, like, they're having a good time watching him. Josh Anderson's, like, bringing the heat. Our fourth line, even, with, like, Jake Evans and, like, Emil Heineman, like, I don't know. There's just so many lovable people on this team. Like, it's hard to pick one. Like, as you said, it's like, oh, that's my favorite right now. Like, it changes all the time. But, like, I think the biggest thing also is, like, as someone who's, like, born in 2001, is that it's kind of crazy to think about, like, like, with, like, Cole Caulfield or, like, Arbor Jacki or, like, Nick or whoever. Like, most of the people on the team, it's like, oh, we were watching Treehouse at the same time. Like, we're kind of... No, but it's funny in the sense of we're growing up together, like.
That's true.
No, because, like, once you see people, like, or already with Cole Caulfield being like, wow, it felt like yesterday he got drafted, or like, oh, it felt like the 2021 run was like yesterday, and now we're all getting older and we're watching this team grow into something so exciting. I think that youth really does kind of bring that extra oomph to the team for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I do agree that because the 2021 playoffs do feel like yesterday. I remember we were graduating, Mandana and I, and outside of our college, we took a video, and one of the wives reposted it because we were encouraging the Habs. So I think the city really does come together during playoff season.
And then I don't know if you guys have more questions or not, but I do have a very exciting announcement.
Yes, sure, go for it.
Okay, can we get a drum roll? Okay, this is official announcement. I am collaborating with Double Hockey Sticks. It's a hockey apparel brand, and we are releasing merch Monday.
Oh my god, wow.
Yeah, I'm trying not to reveal too many details. Double Hockey Sticks, if you ever want a podcast guest to come on, great person. She does all of the shirts where it's like, I just hope insert player name here has fun. You might have seen them around the league. She's a Ducks fan first, so if you're a Ducks fan, if you're a Ducks fan, you definitely know who she is. But she makes merch for all 32 teams. Insanely lovely person, and is just making hockey so inclusive. But she found me through HFTV, and she's like, I really like what you have to say. And I think I was even talking about like, oh man, I wish with apparel and stuff, like, I wish it just wasn't so kind of like a logo slapped on something. Like, I wish it had like more meaning and stuff. So yeah, we're releasing it on Monday. I'm gonna say, I don't want to have too many details. There's gonna be some items that aren't Habs related, and then the others that are Habs related they're a lot more like classic, versatile, like long-term pieces that I think people will enjoy for the playoffs. That'll be like really, like player centered. Like if you have a favorite player, I think you're gonna be excited with this launch. And then in September, we're gonna do a collab that's, because the season will be fresh and everything else, we're gonna do something that's like, I guess, a little bit typically more her style, with like all the funny like names and like stuff on t-shirts.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this launch is gonna be some more classic stuff, but it's just so crazy because like, what other indie brand or whatever, like, it's literally gonna say like Double Hockey Sticks X Kendra, which is so crazy.
Wow, that's really cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, very exciting.
And for our listeners, I'm not sure when you'll be listening to this episode, but this is April 21st that this is happening, the first launch.
I mean, I will probably, I think I am just so excited, I will probably announce it on my Instagram today or tomorrow, but I thought like I think it'd be cool if like this was the first like official place for you guys to hear it.
Yeah.
For sure, I'm trying to post this as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you guys pressure. There's definitely going to be some editing and stuff going on, so yeah, take your time. But I think I think the main thing is like there's going to be like trucker hats and like crew necks, and yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
That's cool. If you make a post, we'll make sure to repost onto our social media pages for the podcast. Thank you so much, Kendra, for accepting to chat with us today. I'm sure our listeners could feel your energy and enthusiasm for the Montreal Canadiens through their screens. As for our listeners, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Andana, and we'll see you all on our next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. And for Kendra, we definitely need to go to a hockey game sometime soon. In town or away, let us know.
I agree. I think that would be so sick. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.